Today we're having a look and doing a comparison between two awesome little cameras that happen to be the Insta360 One X2 from Insta360 and the DJI Pocket 2 over here from DJI. So these are both awesome little cameras with different use cases for the most part. We're gonna break them down to figure out which one might be better for you. And they are different, but they do share a lot of similarities as well. So let's have a look at both of these cameras in a bit more detail and see what they are and who they're for. The Insta360 One X2 obviously is a 360 camera having two lenses and cameras on either side and filming in 360 degrees at all times. That's what makes this one unique compared to say something like the DJI Pocket 2, which is a gimbal style pocket camera with a gimbal camera, very stable, but only films in one direction at a maximum of 4K. Now 4K is kind of the standard here, and the Insta360 does shoot at 5.7K, which does sound impressive, but there is something to note with that. With any 360 camera, the maximum resolution does refer to the entire 360 degrees being filmed. So as you go in and as you look at your subject, as you go into, let's say, a 16:9 frame, well, your resolution is going to be drastically reduced along with your image quality. So do keep that in mind. They are designed for different things. This one is just shoot now and edit later, and you get to pick everything later on, but everything's being filmed no matter what. So that's kind of nice. This thing's turning off automatically, which they both also do. Pocket 2 is a gimbal style camera, but it's more designed for vlogging. And I gotta say, it's probably one of the best vlogging options around out there for non-professionals that you can really get. The creator combo does come with wireless audio and it sounds fantastic. It's very convenient, and even without the wireless mic, it does sound pretty good with its multiple microphones. Now the Insta360 does have mics on it as well, several in fact, which can produce some 3D sound, but the quality's not just there, and if you did need to move away from the camera, well, it's not gonna sound too good. You be the judge. How does it sound, the audio coming out of this thing right now? For me, it's nothing groundbreaking and it's not the worst, but I don't know if I'd use it for like A-roll type of stuff. What do you think? So let's talk about audio for a minute. When it comes to audio, you can expect that these little cameras are probably not gonna have the greatest audio. They've gone ahead and improved the audio capabilities in camera, as you hear right now. I can just clip this to me here, like so, and have a wireless audio solution just like that. So I'm free to move around and hopefully you can hear me and it's sounding pretty good. So in terms of quality and vlogging, the Pocket 2 definitely gets the win in that regard. But if you're wanting to film everything and not worry about actually filming yourself or what to film, then the Insta360 definitely wins in that category. So the Insta360 happens to be one of my favorite cameras for B-roll right now. This is the camera that you just turn on and it's a great behind the scenes capture of everything that's going on. It doesn't matter if the action's over there or over there, this thing's got you covered. The Pocket 2, however, you need to be pointing at the action, and it is a gimbal camera, so it's going to be limited. It could be quite slow in circumstances, so you can't really pan depending on which mode you're on. So they do have different use cases once again. One's a crazy kind of action camera based kind of thing here, and one is more designed for vlogging. Although it can be used as an action camera, but neither of these really are going to be an amazing action camera because they can't really be mounted like the GoPro can, because as you can see here, the 360 camera is a bit vulnerable. If it does fall over here, it's going to have some problems because obviously the lenses are going to be scratched. Where the GoPro's a little bit more protected, you can mount it on something and not have to worry about it. There is a mode where you can actually film just on one side and it's a bit higher resolution, but the whole point of this thing is to capture in 360 and then deal with it later. So again, the Pocket 2, you're pointing in one direction, but because it's on a gimbal, it does make it a little bit more fragile. So keep that in mind too. You don't want to be really putting this on here. You have to be very aware of where this gimbal is going to be, hitting and contacting, because that could break it. Now, having said that, this one is definitely 100% waterproof, the Insta360. The Pocket 2 is not waterproof, like at all. It's not designed to be in the rain or the weather. So if you are thinking about going underwater, I don't know if there's actually a case for the Pocket 2, but this thing can go underwater in rain, through mud, it doesn't matter. You don't need a case for it. If you want to dive below 30 feet, they do have a case for it, but you're probably not diving to 30 feet anyway. So this thing is going to be a great all-weather camera. We'll call it that. where the Pocket 2, like I said, is definitely more of a vlogging camera, and it does a great job. So with any kind of pocket or action cam, image stabilization of course is very important. So let's see how these two stack up. Here's an example of both side by side, and I'm happy to report that they are both incredible when it comes to image stabilization. The Pocket 2 does win out for me with a natural smoothness that the Insta360 just doesn't have, which can produce a little bit of jitter. But as far as horizon leveling is concerned, the Insta360 wins hands down, as it doesn't have a gimbal to max out on. Both get an A+ for stabilization. Next, let's quickly talk about the battery life of these two cameras. Now, the Pocket 2 unfortunately does not have a removable battery, so you're gonna have to rely on a power bank of some kind if you did want to shoot for longer periods than say about 2 hours. Now, it's pretty much been great for what I need it for, but if you are thinking about going out and filming all day, well, yeah, you're gonna have to have some kind of backup. Now, the Insta360, on the other hand, is a big upgrade in terms of battery life over its predecessor, but it is a little bit expensive, and I don't really see myself filming over, again, about 2 hours or an hour and a half of footage with this thing, because you'd be editing for the rest of your life. So in both regards, they're pretty darn good. If you did want to do a really long time lapse or hyperlapse or something like that, yeah, you might want to think about doing some kind of external charging option. But as far as the battery life is concerned in general, they're both pretty darn good. Now, they both have screens on them, as you can see here. They're both touch screens and they're both fairly functional, but you will need the app to control all of the features on both of these cameras, and I really don't find myself using the screen too much on these guys for basic setup to start off with maybe, but overall you're probably just gonna dial it in, hit that record button, and off you go. As far as accessories are concerned, they both have a ton of accessories. The DJI Pocket 2 Creator Combo I definitely recommend, and that's gonna come with pretty much everything you need to get started and get going vlogging and whatnot. There's something called the Do-It-All handle here, which actually does double as a tripod that you can throw on in the bottom here. It's got 1/4-inch mounts that you can mount it to a lot of things, which is great, and you get the external audio capabilities. So that's a really good thing that I recommend, and it also comes with a case that's kicking around here somewhere that you can pretty much put everything on and in that case, throw it on here, and then chuck this thing in your pocket to have everything in one place at one time. So they've done a great job in that. I like to just have a whole camera system, including audio, in my pocket, which is really nice. Now, the Insta360 One X2 does have a ton of accessories, some of which are great, some of which are not so great, but there aren't a ton of combos that actually come with the stuff that I recommend. One is definitely this tripod selfie stick thing here. This is amazing, and it serves to pretty much take care of a lot of the shots that I'm gonna do, most of my shots. So I'd really recommend this accessory. I also have like a 10-foot selfie stick to get some kind of drone-like shots as well. There's also the bullet time cord, which is an amazing feature. So there are some that I recommend, and they're coming out with new ones all the time. So in both regards, you're totally covered when it comes to accessories. Now, for filming quality video, you're gonna wanna have a neutral density filter or filters in a lot of cases, and you're just not gonna have that option with the Insta360 here. The Pocket 2 does have some ND filters available and does definitely take your footage to the next level, so that's definitely something I recommend. So again, they're kind of have their uses, and I like to have them both really. They're both, if I could just throw both of these in my pocket, I'm pretty much covered for the entire day and really anything that I want to shoot. But again, they're not really professional stuff, so they're not gonna replace my full frame mirrorless camera for my A-roll and whatnot. So which one do I recommend? I really recommend both of them. They're both fantastic cameras with pros and cons to each. It really comes down to your needs. If you're mainly a vlogger, you want really, really great audio with maybe not the ability to shoot 360. If that's not a concern to you, definitely pick up the DJI Pocket 2. If you want to just shoot B-roll, if you have your audio and your main video covered and you just want some behind the scenes crazy action, nutty things that you can do that pretty much no other camera can do, then definitely check out the Insta360. And one last thing that I wanted to touch on is the apps and the capabilities that you can do after the fact. The Insta360 has just an amazing app with a ton of fantastic features that are being added all the time. I mentioned the bullet time, and they've got things like clone trail. You can fly through things and seamlessly edit with AI and whatnot. You got hyperlapse and time lapses covered. And if you're comfortable and you like editing on your phone, this thing is phenomenal in that regard. The DJI Pocket 2, however, I don't really use the app, although you can throw some fun stuff together. It definitely doesn't have the same capabilities and the wild effects that you can get with the Insta360. I find myself just throwing it into my regular workflow in Premiere Pro, and because it looks pretty darn good, sometimes I even use it in the place of my full-frame mirrorless camera. But again, it's really not going to be a professional use camera, absolutely not. But for amateur or just fun family vlogging or whatever, it's just a fantastic camera and really bats out of its price range. So let's leave it at that, guys. I hope this video helped you out, and if you did enjoy this content and you want to see more just like it, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, join the community. If you want to pick up either of these cameras, I will drop affiliate links down below for you. And like always, make mistakes, be yourself, and get out there and take some more pictures. See you next time.